Now for global business updates. Rotus Oddiri, freshly arrived from the United States, joins us.
Good morning, Dr. Avasi.
Rotus,
yes, sir.
I hear that, when you travel like this, you come back, you are knackered. It's not a good thing. What's your testimony?
We're working for our eyes.
It's a difficult thing to travel.
These trips, the coverage, the chasing down interviews, the reports, but, we do what we can. We do what we can, Dr. Avasi.
It's not fun.
It's not, there's some fun there, but the work is also plenty.
But why is Dr. Avasi acting?
He's a global traveler.
You went to Davos and you came back and you said you were knackered. You said you were tired too.
I know some people are saying they have international passport.
But Dr. Avasi,
you want to give them a chance.
When you went to Davos,
Exactly.
Do you want me to mention names?
No, exactly. No, Dr. Avasi.
When I went to Davos, the weather was very cold.
and you were very tired. Even the time at which you were going to drive to the venue was very tiring for you.
Inside that terrible cold.
You see?
No, I'm talking about, don't let me mention names.
Mention them. Let's see them.
Because some people have gone to take international passports because of people who travel. They want to travel.
They want to travel as well. Bimbai, good morning. Rufai, good morning. Good to see you.
Thank you for the beautiful Donald Trump memorabilia.
Yes, I had to get you that Trump chocolate,
Thank you very
especially
much.
for you. Yes.
Trump
Yes.
chocolates.
Yeah, she's a full
Direct
chocolate.
from DC.
Take a bite.
She's a Trump.
Oh, you start seeing the propaganda that will come out of my mouth after I bite.
As usual, now, your Trump propaganda.
Oh, please
Good
start.
morning. Happy.
When it's against Zimbabwe, you don't like it. You talk against Trump.
No, I talk against Zimbabwe. I talk
There's a
against
Trump story today. There's a Trump. We'll test that.
Okay,
We're going to
enough
test
of
it.
comedy.
Yes. Let's get to the work. Happy Workers' Day to everybody. Let's get to oil prices. Really, really low prices. Oil, Brent crude just barely above $60 a barrel. Where is it now? Yeah, 61.06. West Texas, look at that, 58. I haven't seen that since 2021. Number of influence. U.S. economy contracting, putting some worries on oil demand. Also, Saudi Arabia saying they may not want to support prices. We're going to get a decision for June output from OPEC Plus on, I think, May the 5th. So really low there. You're seeing oil, real big sell-offs this week. Asian markets, most of them are closed for the Labor Day holiday. China is closed, Hong Kong is closed, India is closed. Japan opened though, so the Nikkei up by 1%. The Topix also in Japan up by 38 basis points. Australia down slightly in trading. We got some news coming out from the Asia region. China's factory outputs falling to a 2-year low. This is the Purchasing Managers Index from the Bureau of Statistics. 49 points. If you're under 50, you're contracting. If you're above 50, you're expanding. You can see March there was like I think a 12-month high, 50.5, but it fell. They're suggesting tariff worries and other things. 49.8 was the forecast from a Reuters poll. Bank of Japan held rates today. Their meeting started yesterday. They kept it at 0.5. I think it's the second consecutive hold. But the commentary was very interesting. I mean, they were talking about, and Dr. Abate has talked about this several times in the past, trade tensions. It was a 9-0 decision expected by the markets. They've downgraded GDP growth for Japan. 2025 now they're looking at 0.5. Prior was 1.1. 2026 is saying 0.7. Prior was 1%. And they're saying trade tensions are causing uncertainty and that foreign exchange is going to have a larger impact on prices. From there, we go to the U.S. And the economic outputs, GDP growth in the first quarter contracting by 0.03%. We did see a lot of spending from businesses, but what was discovered here is that it looks like a lot of them were trying to front run these tariffs. So there was a big surge in imports coming into the United States versus exports, and that's where we saw that contraction. Now, of course, I think this is what we say we'll put Vimbai to the test here. Before we go to Trump's clip, this is the first time the economy has contracted since the first quarter of 2021. You can see the numbers there, so Q1 2025 is that contraction of 0.3. Trump, however, said it's not his fault, that this is Biden's economy. Here's what he said yesterday.
Core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today. And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is the quarterly numbers. And we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country in so many ways. Not only at the border was more obvious, but we took over his mess in so many different ways.
He said it's not me. He said these are quarterly numbers, but you were sworn in January, and this is March. He took credit for the stock market going up, but all of a sudden the economy is not his, it's Biden's. He even said the second quarter. Anyway, still all news. The Wall Street Journal, this is a headline here that they had here. They said, if you look at it, Tesla board open search for a CEO to succeed Elon Musk. This was when the stock price was tanking, sales were down. I remember on his earnings call for the first quarter, when profits fell 71%, Elon Musk did say, I'm going to put more of my attention on Tesla. And now the Wall Street Journal is saying that this was due to pressure from the board of directors, that he's not focused and he needs to, and if we look at it, I think there's you have look at the share price. Now I think it's down, at one point it was down 40% so far, they said, but it's down 25%. It fell in after hours trading about 3%, down 25%. You can see the different date points there when he was appointed to lead Doge, when the executive order established Doge. I mean, since then, the stock has just fallen. But competition from China and the likes. Finally, we round off with MTN Nigeria. We've seen a lot of earnings. Oh, sorry, a board member did come out and say, let's go back to the board member there. The board member did come out refuting the story. They said this is absolutely false. The CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk, and the board is highly confident in his ability to continue executing on the exciting growth plan ahead. Again, the shares fell on the news. To round off, MTN returning to profitability for the first quarter of this year. Revenue at 1 trillion naira, 40% growth there. Subscriptions, they added 3.2 million subscribers, now 84.1 million total. Your capital expenditure did expand by 159%, 202 billion. Their EBITDA, which is just earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, that was up as well. Profit at 133 billion. It was a 392 billion loss this time last year. And if you look at the segments revenue, data still continues to lead the way. So data contributed over 50% of revenue to the company. 529 billion from data. Voice at 407 billion. Voice used to be ahead of data. Data has caught up. Digital climbed by 92%. Fintech also up by 57%. Now we actually have Carl Toriola, the CEO of MTN Nigeria, on the Global Business Report later to talk about this. But part of this you can attribute to the tariff increase, but I think they're saying they'll see more of that in the second quarter of this year. That's our update for today.
Okay, obviously the tariff is going to balance out things for them. I mean, we're really happy that the numbers are coming up after the meltdown last year.
Yeah.
And because the meltdown was very palpable, because we know what happened. Currency differentials were there. I mean, and other challenges too were there. So, I mean, it's good to see the numbers coming up. Mr. Donald Trump says it's not his fault that the economy tanked. He's one of the worst presidents in the last 80 years. That's what the number says. His first 100 days has been a complete disaster. I mean, sometimes I don't know how people support this guy. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it beats me. So he's one of the worst presidents. He's tanked the economy so much. The first 100 is actually supposed to be a honeymoon period.
Right. Exactly.
George Bush, right?
Yep.
He did better economically.
Yeah,
and George was said to be not good.
Right.
It was a disaster.
Right.
Disaster of the misunderestimate fame.
Yeah.
But if George Bush, in his first 100 days, does better than you economically, then you know that that's, like Americans would say, complete baloney. So he's taking a very healthy economy under Joe Biden, taking it, ran it into the ground. Even all his billionaire friends that he keeps telling, I know what I'm doing. He lost them 300 billion.
That's right.
Elon Musk, that stuck his neck out for him, put about $200 million in his campaign. He's put Elon Musk in a big mess. When they refute a story, there was an element of truth in it.
Yeah.
Because the Riot Act in the last board meeting was read out to him. You need to fix this. And that's why Elon Musk came and said, I'll wind down things with Doge.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I have to move on.
Yeah.
Because the company is tanking. He's got 12% shares in there. The other people, institutional investors, the likes of, all the big institutional investors there, they can railroad him. And he knows that. Even his worth has dropped. Yeah. So Trump has lost him money for a lot of this indecision. And still yet, despite the fact that Trump says he wants to give tax cuts to the rich, about 11 trillion. In the space of how many days? He's lost billions, it's just trillions, 2 to 3 trillion, part of the tax cut money he wants to give out. Now he starts this new era of colonization. He wants to colonize Ukraine. Like he wants to colonize Congo and other things. I will not fault him on that argument because actually Kuwait did pay for it when America helped them fight the Kuwaiti war. Really. But when you look at it deeply, he's not respected human rights. America is now like Kazakhstan in terms of human rights or Russia in terms of human rights. So the first 100 days has been shambolic, but Trump says it's been wonderful 100 days. And he started a new media outlet at the White House now, where they put only favorable stories from the White House.
Well,
Trump,
Is that the White House Wire?
White House Wire, that's
White
what it's
House
called.
Wire.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I need to clarify something.
Yes.
Wherever my biases, my personal biases lie, when we sit on these seats, it's important for us to always be fair,
Of
to
course,
be balanced,
of
to be
course.
ensure that what we report reflects research and empirical data. So yes, we all were human. We all have our personal biases.
do, yes,
However,
yes.
we do our best to ensure we don't bring them into the studio.
Certainly.
Having said that, GDP
Yes.
is consumption plus government
Yep.
plus investment
Yep.
plus the balance of trade.
Exports minus
Exports
imports.
minus
101.
imports.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Just to the fundamentals. Dr. Abati. So now what we're seeing here is, I think, was expected. I'm disappointed in Donald Trump's response to it because it was expected that if you're going to suddenly create this huge change in how business is done, meaning you suddenly shoot up tariffs, naturally the uncertainty is going to make people rush to import as much as they can. Several unverified stories about how Apple flew in, a Boeing plane, and only God knows, whether or not those stories are true, but there were several stories of that nature flying around. And of course, I know a number of small American businesses who were also very quick to import what they needed to import, whether it be from Nigeria. A lot of people sell the Nigerian produce. They did a bulk import because they said, we don't know what's coming. So they're attributing this quarterly shrink to an import surge because, again, it goes back to that equation of ours where ultimately, if your imports suddenly surge at a rapid pace, faster than exports have grown, ultimately your GDP is going to shrink. Definitely poor planning, definitely poor policy communication and implementation, and unfortunate to see Donald Trump say, this is Joe Biden, when the numbers, the economics show us that this is an import surge, which was a result of an increase in tariffs. So, well, that's his messaging, but however, it's unfortunate.
Okay, let's talk about China and the United States because there are similar patterns in both places. The Purchasing Managers Index for China for April came in at 49.0. The threshold is 50.0. They recorded that in January. Now there was a surge in productivity, in production. Now the whole of March, most of the companies, the factories, they were exporting their materials in order to beat Trump's tariffs. And that's what has led to some form of contraction in China. Even if in China, the ordinary Chinese, maybe in Yiwu, in Guangzhou, they are all saying that, look, leave Trump. He's just, talking. And it will not have any effect on them because China is actually looking for new markets in Asia, in South America, in Africa. Even the retailers, the e-retailers, e-commerce industry, they're turning away from Meta and all these American countries to protect themselves. But they are also suffering from that effect. Now, in the United States, there's also contraction. 0.03% GDP growth drop, right? 1.8% drop in consumer spending, the threat of a recession. Now, Trump is saying, it is the Biden effect. It's the Biden hangover. But Andrew Bates, his name is Andrew Bates, who speaks for President Biden, has issued a statement saying that, look, President Biden left the best performing economy in the world. That what we are facing is not just a recession, it is a Trump session.
That's the new one.
And that Trump session, we have seen the effect in the collapse of the stock market, in the fact that many U.S. billionaires have lost money, in the fact that Trump has succeeded in isolating his country. Japan's inflation rate was 2.4%, consistently for about 36 months. So the Bank of Japan was saying, they had enough room because of growth in price and costs, to increase interest rates. But they could not do so.
Right.
Again, because of Trump's tariffs. And that's why they have held the rate at 0.5% for this second time.
That's right.
Second consecutive meeting. So this is the effect of, Donald Trump, all over the place in terms of his tariffs. He says in 100 days that there has been a revolution of common sense. But he's the only one who sees that common sense, and also members of his own Republican Party who support him. But the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, has said that, look, the only thing that Trump has done in 100 days is to bring chaos, confusion, disruption, and uncertainty. How that plays out, we'll see.
Shall see.
Those are the issues.
Indeed.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Rotus.
you. Thank you, Dr.